Hello, Huntsville. We have a special treat for you today. Join us for a walk with Huntsville City Council President David Little as we dive into dynamic neighborhoods in District 2. We'll get personal about the district he serves and some of the cool neighborhoods he explored while growing up here in Huntsville. Get ready for an engaging and enlightening conversation that literally goes beyond the surface.
So we're here in 5 Points. Just kind of tell me a little bit about what's around us.
Well, 5 Points is one of the older neighborhoods in our community.
Right.
But it's also a very walkable community. It's great in a lot of aspects. You've got great restaurants like 1892 and Thai Garden, Star Market that's been there since prior to me being a kid.
Right.
Probst Drugs. You know, I grew up not too far from here, and we'd ride our bikes through the cemetery and go to Probst to buy candy.
Right.
And more recently, as I said, it's a really old neighborhood. You can see some of these houses were built in the early 1900s, so they had an effort to create a historic, make it a historic neighborhood, and put some guidelines around some of the work they can do, which has really just enhanced the overall quality of the neighborhood.
So I know we were talking earlier, and you said that you grew up in Blossomwood. Tell me how Blossomwood has changed over the years in the growth.
Well, it's it's got a great school, really two great schools. Blossomwood and Huntsville Middle are right there in the middle of the neighborhood. It's proximity to downtown, the hospitals, mile and a half, 2 miles to the interstate. If you need to get out of town, go to the airport. And it too is an older neighborhood. It was all farmland back in the 40s and 50s. And then as our city started growing, it was a popular place to be, a lot of brick ranchers. And now those 50 and 60-year-old homes are now getting torn down and new bigger ones are getting built.
So over the years, have you ever had a favorite memory that happened in 5 Points or anything big that happened that you can share with us?
Well, one of my favorite memories was where 1892 was a restaurant called Zesto's.
Right.
That made great dip dogs, and that was a corn dog.
Right.
And so going there with my dad and my brother as a kid was a lot of fun.
Right.
Good memories.
Right.
I mowed grass when I was a kid, and I'd go to Star Market, and Wade Russell, who owned it back then, would cash my checks that I'd get paid for writing. So I mean, those aren't profound memories, but there are good special memories. Or like I said, with friends riding over to Probst to get some candy. Right. That our parents wouldn't buy us.
I even can remember too, like growing up, and especially middle school and high school, I had a lot of friends that lived in this area. So whenever I lived farther out, so whenever I would go over to friends' houses, like we would always walk or ride bikes to Tenders, or I kind of feel like even throughout the years, it's still, like we were talking about, it's very much a walking community, riding bikes. It gets everyone out and about. It's very
walkable. I think we were talking earlier, I mean, I don't know how many, 1,000 people probably live within a mile, or more than 1,000 that could all walk to the grocery store, the drugstore, several restaurants. Right. And now with the Stella that you can see down there, it's a new mixed-use facility, apartment complex. They'll have retail on the bottom. Right. They're getting close to being done with that, and once they're done, it's going to be a real nice addition to the area.
I'm very excited to see it be finished. Okay, so now we're here at the Three Caves, and it has been a very long time since I've been here. So for those who might not know what the Three Caves is, can you share that with us?
Sure. Well, a long time ago, it was a rock quarry. So this is a man-made cave for limestone. And then for years, it was basically just city property, had a fence around it, but people would come up here and go rappelling. I think the military might have used it a few times back in the day. It was also a designated fallout shelter. And I grew up not too far from here, so I assume if there was nuclear Armageddon, this is where we were supposed to run to. That eventuality never came. And the Land Trust, Huntsville Land Trust, or the Land Trust of North Alabama, acquired this property some time ago, and has created a music venue. So there's a stage over here, and they have 2 or 3 concerts a year, which is, I mean, it's not a natural, but it's a great amphitheater, if you will. Right. And what's really interesting, you be here in the summertime, and I think it's a constant 68 degrees. It kind of flows out of the cave. So top of the hill, you're sweating. Down here,
Get a nice breeze,
it
nice
feels good.
cool
Yeah.
off. Now, have you been to any concerts here?
I have, yeah. It's great. Not as many as we'd like, but
Right.
it's a lot of fun. They've set up chairs, and
Right.
they'll have a couple of food trucks and
Right.
bars and things, and it's a lot of fun. Not a ton of parking, obviously, so they have people park at the schools and they bring them in on buses.
Right. I want to say, I think the last time I'd been here is probably on a school field trip, like elementary, middle school type. Was
Right.
probably the last time I was here. So I know you said you grew up in this area, kind of like we talked about earlier, and we passed the pool.
Right.
Tell us about coming to Three Caves as a kid.
Well, I think the statute of limitations is over on that, but yeah, we would, there was a hole in the fence. We'd be at the pool in the summertime. We'd come over here and just kind of look over the edge, throw rocks.
Right.
There were a few times there's been fatalities here for climate accidents,
Right.
Which is certainly sad.
Yes.
We rappelled down it at one time. My brother was trained in rappelling, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, now it's land trust, it's a little more buttoned up than it used to be back in those days.
Right. But definitely cool that you got to have those memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a lot of people can say that now, especially
Yeah.
with it being part of the land trust.
It's a really neat spot, and a lot of rocks, because where I grew up, if my dad was planting a bush, he needed to pickaxe and dynamite because there's so much broken rock just
Right.
all down in that part of our neighborhood where
Right.
all the trucks were leaving, I guess, back then.
Now, kind of touching back on what I talked about a second ago. So if you're, say, new to the area, has obviously the Three Caves just added to the overall experience, or like a place to visit for
Yeah.
people that haven't been to Huntsville before?
Absolutely. Quality of life's a big thing for everybody, and quality of life means something different to everybody.
Right.
Good traffic is quality of life. Sidewalks, music venues like this, or the Orion, or the BBC.
Right.
And the Land Trust is doing great work. They have thousands and thousands of acres the side of the mountain and more outside of Huntsville that they've acquired over the years to prevent it from being developed, to
Right.
keep it wild.
Right.
There's a whole network of trails people have access to. Obviously the caves would be blocked off, but you can hike for days if you wanted to on nice world-class trails, mountain biking, all within a few miles from downtown.
Right. Awesome. So anyone listening who loves the outdoors and loves to hike, you need to visit the Three Caves.
Yeah.
So President Little, you are been born and raised here.
Yeah.
What has kept you here?
Oh gosh, lots of things. I'd probably say principally my family. My parents, both grandparents were here. Just the quality of life. It still maintains a lot of its small town feel. You see people you know at the grocery store, or when you're out and about in town. It's easy to get around. And it's just always been home. I've never really considered moving anywhere else. When I was at an age maybe after college where I could go somewhere else, I just loved Huntsville.
So if, say you're someone that's thinking about moving to Huntsville, what would you pitch to them? Tell us what you would tell them as to why they should move to Huntsville.
Oh gosh, whole host of things. Places like the caves,
Right.
Monte Sano, the state park, proximity to the beaches, 6-hour drive away. We got a great airport.
Right.
That's easy to get in and out of. Traffic, people like me that've been here a long time starting to think traffic's getting a little bad.
Yeah.
But you talk to somebody that's moved here from Northern Virginia,
Right.
or Dallas, or Atlanta, and they're gonna laugh at you.
This is nothing for
This
them.
is nothing for them. So if it takes them 20 minutes to get to the grocery store, big deal, right?
Right.
Great school system, ample opportunities for businesses, great place to raise families, 7, 8, 9 hours, depending on where you're going to the East Coast to ski. If you want to snow ski and
Right.
not have to fly anywhere. So we're just right in the middle of a lot. Well, a little piece of Huntsville history. A movie was filmed here called The Ravagers. They shot parts of it in the caves and out at Space and Rocket Center. And some of this concrete work is the original set material that's still here. So when you drive by, you can see.
Right.
I don't know what those are. I just recently learned the movie's on Amazon Prime, so I have to check it out. I don't know what this was supposed to be,
Right.
like a blown up castle or something maybe,
Right.
I don't know. But this leftover movie set.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of beautiful things here in District 2. tell us where we're going next.
We are headed out to Jones Valley part of town, which is working farm. It was cattle for many, many years. Now they have row crops. But it's shrinking a little bit. Been some development as Huntsville's grown, but it's still a real special place, a beautiful place in Huntsville. It's one of the largest, I think still privately owned farms inside of a city limits in the country.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so, okay, I'm excited. Let's go check it out.
All right.
So we're here on Jones Farm today. Tell us a little bit about Jones Farm in Jones Valley.
Yeah, this is, I think, still one of the largest privately owned and still operating farms inside of city limits in the country. It's been here since the 30s. Obviously, it was farmland, but the Jones family acquired it then, and
Right.
have done everything from cattle to corn and cotton. And it's just a beautiful spot to see. Obviously, a lot of homes that can look down on it. But it is getting a little smaller as Huntsville grows. You know, where Target is and the movie theater, that was
Right.
all, you know, farmland not too long ago.
Right. And so touching back on the development, share a little bit more with us about what all is coming to Jones Valley and how much is really, how much is going on?
Well, obviously a lot of residential, especially on the southern end down
Right.
here. Seeing a lot of growth. I believe there's along 4 Mile Post, fitness place, I've drawn a blank on the name.
Phase 3.
Phase 3
Phase
is
three.
coming.
Yes.
And some other developments just to bring amenities to folks that live out here. Just to continue from a kind of a placemaking standpoint and make it a great place to live, work, and play. Got places like this, you know, Providence, other areas of town where what can be done to keep people from having to crisscross town to get things they want.
Right.
You know, and this is a prime example of some of that happening here. Hampton Cove's the same way. There's some future developments out there that'll be the same thing, that'll bring some amenities to the folks on that side of the hill and the Cove area to keep them from having to drive over the mountain, maybe for fine dining.
Right.
Or other types of amenities that might not be available over there.
Right.
Currently.
Okay, so Huntsville is obviously growing. Share with us a little bit, like, you know, people express probably they're a little bit nervous with how fast it's growing. Share with us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, you know, like we said earlier, born and raised here, so I've been witnessing this growth really for the last 40 plus years when I started paying attention. And I understand some folks having a little trepidation about our growth. But Huntsville is a popular spot. It's on top of a lot of lists in the country of great places to raise a family, great places to own a business. And, you know, 5,000 to 7,000 people a year are moving into Huntsville. But we want to grow smart, in a smart fashion. You know, the businesses that come here, we want them to be a good fit for our community and bring good, high quality jobs, and keep it a great place to be, which, you know, it's going to be a challenge.
Right.
I mean, right now we're a healthy, safe city, but as we grow and become more of a metropolitan area, that'll bring some challenges we have to deal with, you know, from a public safety standpoint, making sure we have enough police officers and firefighters to cover the community. A lot of people don't know Huntsville has close to or bigger landmass than cities like Austin, Texas, and Chicago.
Wow.
I mean, over 200,000 square miles.
Right.
Obviously, we don't have the people to match up with that landmass, but you know, I tell people a police officer could be where we were earlier in 5 Points and could be dispatched to a call down near Ditto Landing.
Right.
That's all the South Precinct.
That's
So
pretty
they
big
could
area.
have 20 miles, you know, to go to get to another call. It's a big deal.
Right. So for anyone that's moving to Huntsville, what is the one thing that you would like for them to know about your hometown?
Oh gosh, one thing, I don't know if I could pin down one thing. I would say learn how to say y'all. And that if somebody looks at you walking out in the street, nod to them. They're just ready to say hello.
Right.
Right? It's a very friendly town,
Right.
But it's becoming a melting pot. So I think sometimes you see somebody and you just want to say hello to a stranger, you
Right.
know, in line for a cup of coffee. They look at you like you're a weirdo.
Right.
So
Right.
we're not weird. We're just being friendly. Good
Right.
Southern charm.
Yes. So you work in District 2. Tell us a little bit about the people that live in District 2.
Well, it's an eclectic group in a lot of ways. You know, the Cove area is popular with a lot of transplants. There's a lot of retired military and defense contractor type families that live out there. Interestingly, they like it, so as they're raising their family, they're not leaving. Monte Sano Mountain's a great place. There's people that live up there that are in their 80s that were born in the houses they live in still. And that's a great community up there. My parents live on Monte Sano. And then 5 Points is also a great. There, you kind of realize that each area has a lot of different flavors.
Right.
So sustainability, walkability, bikes, things like that are real popular with a lot of folks who live in the 5 Points area. And as you can see, there's sidewalks and they're close to things downtown. Then others are really just kind of bedroom communities. Right. People just stay there and go to work. We do have some developments that are happening. One in the Cove area that'll be great. It'll be a mixed use. We'll have office space, ground floor retail, but also be surrounded by residential, varying different types of residential properties. But the interesting thing is they want to tie in that area with the land trust trails, so people could be hiking up on the land trust on Green Mountain and mountain biking and ride down into this village.
Right.
Get a slice of pizza and a beer or whatever.
Right.
Head back out on the trails.
So what would be the best part about representing the people that live in District 2?
Well, I guess you never know what you're going to get, right?
Right.
You open up your email in the morning and there's, somebody's got a neighbor with a barking dog that needs help. Somebody's got, they're worried about people speeding down their street or their trash wasn't picked up, just basic city services, right? And just being responsive to them, get their issue solved. I don't know how this city functioned in the world before email,
Right.
but a big part of my job is forwarding emails, right? I don't pave the roads, I don't pick up the trash, but I know the people that do that.
Right.
So you forward it off to the department head. Our city leaders are very customer oriented. They want to do a good job for the citizens. Sometimes it's not as fast as we want, but they do want to do a good job, and I appreciate that.
President Little, thank you again for joining us today. I enjoyed it and learned a lot of things that I did not know.
Right.
So we were happy to have you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and be glad to do it again anytime soon. Hey there, I'm David Little. I'm president of Huntsville City Council. Hello, Huntsville.
Like and subscribe to Hello Huntsville today on all your favorite podcast platforms. Sponsored by the Cynthia Joyner Real Estate Group, Jeff the Mortgage Guy, and Tony with T-Mail in the Morning Show.